gonna be completely honest with y'all. The microphone wasn't on, and I have to start this whole review over. Also, I'm a middle school band director, and my school hosts the all-county rehearsals, so all my gear is in a different room, and I don't feel like going to dig it out. So for a snare stand, instead of using this flat-based drum stand that's not meant to withstand marching playing, I'm gonna be using a table. So I gotta start this whole review over. So let's act like this intro didn't even happen. I have a lot of practice pads, probably more than the average person should. So practice pads are one of those things that some people don't think too much about, some people overthink, and I think throughout my journey as a rudimental percussionist, there was a point where practice pads were way overthought of what their purpose served, what the surface should be used, how fancy they need to look, whatever. So I'm going to give you my rundown of all the practice pads that I own, some stories behind some of them, and just general usage of them and what I still use some of them for today. So the first pad that I ever owned was actually a gift for me for Christmas in 2010, was the HQ single-sided RealFeel. And if you take a look at this thing, it's been through a lot. It's got all these stickers and stuff on it, and this is actually back when the branding was still HQ before Evans and D'Addario started putting their logo on them. So this was a very basic practice pad, not meant for anything crazy. Over time I did put this old VML sticker from Off-World Percussion on it. So yeah, it was just meant to be that basic practice pad. It could have been used for drum set, marching, and or orchestral playing. Nice and quiet, meant to keep mom and dad happy and not be too loud. Over the years, I have noticed when it comes to whether it's the generic RealFeels or whatever, this gum rubber surface or whatever they use, it attracts moisture very well, and when too much moisture builds up in it, it loses that rebound at very low levels, so your buzzes like don't come out as well. So yeah, that was my first practice pad. I had this for about 2 months before I switched to something, in my opinion, a little bit better. And of course, being the young, naive teenager I was, I had to tell my parents, I have to have this practice pad. This is the off-road Invader V3. I purchased this, at the time, $85. I purchased this in February of 2011. And this became my go-to, oh my gosh, I love this practice pad. And it was a staple in the rudimental drumming community for a long time. This thing, I feel like it was what the marching percussion world needed and probably should have just stuck with. So this one was major because the surface was this really nice cured polyurethane pour. Okay, you can hear everything as opposed to like these soft, like bouncy pads. Things are clear, especially at those low levels when it comes to those buzzes. To me, it was, I'm not going to say the perfect practice pad because these were heavy, all right? I love this pad so much. So much so that back when Lone Star Percussion still existed, I got the gold version, which initially was marketed as limited edition. So I got it thinking it would go away. And it never did. Until, obviously, you know. So alongside my single-sided HQ, I always wanted the double-sided one. All right? So this is my Evans RealFeel double-sided. I truly just wanted it because of its backside. Well, when I was in college, one of my professors was giving away some things after he was retiring, and in that box was this. And this is the original HQ RealFeel, the tan one that everyone seeks after. And you can find these on eBay, Reverb, whatever. People are selling them for hundreds of dollars. This one has that classic feel. And you could tell this one's been well taken care of. And when I got it, it looked even better than this. But when I got it, I played the heck out of this thing because I had been searching for this for a long time. I also have the middle generation, which is the gray one. This is when the top rubber started to get that porous feel. So then I was introduced to a company that, just not going to name drop them, you should know who they are, but they were known for making very unique practice pads. This is one of their more basic ones. This one I got as a buy one get one free. As a part of a buy one get one free, I had this one custom made. All right, these were called the ID pads, and I got this one free. So this is just their generic one. They both have the same thickness of rubber underneath of these plastic laminates. They were just marketed as that like high tension practice pad. That company also came out with probably their more iconic practice pad, which is the one that had the carbon fiber surface with the rim, these plastic rims that had these notches built in so you could lay your sticks down and they wouldn't move. I guess I saw a meaning for it. Obviously, I was young, naive, and wanted to have this. Super articulate. Everyone's like, it feels just like a marching snare. I mean, yeah, that surface, that vibration you get in the stick, like especially when you do buzzes, but I guess, but now looking at it, the appeal, like I said, Invader had the rim, but this is loud and obnoxious. Now, when I was auditioning for Marshall's Drumline, initially, I didn't own a tenor practice pad, and probably should have. This one, very basic. I do own another tenor practice pad. It's the Ahead tenor pad. I do not have that one currently in my possession. This one is just the generic Vic Firth Quad Pad. This is actually the old generation, the one that didn't have the rims and where you had to actually place the two spocks yourself unless you wanted one or two. I obviously placed them maybe a little bit too far apart, but I marched in Marshall's line. We only used single spock drums. So this one, very basic. At one point I did have the laminates on them. I took them off and replaced it with this duct tape, and it's on the zones. So this just really helped me really capture my zones. This one doesn't have tone holes in it. For me, when it comes to a practice pad, sound is not what you should be going for. You shouldn't be aiming for a practice pad that, it sounds like a marching snare. It sounds like a marching tenor. It's practice pads. They're meant to help you when it comes to motion and your actual playing. On a snare drum, you're not meant to mimic the sound of a real snare because you're not playing on a real snare. The goal is for you to be able to play your beats. And if you're practicing center to edge, having that muscle movement. For tenor pads, this one's not too big. Some tenor pads from companies that shall not be named are huge. They're real sized. And yeah, that's cool and all, but that's a lot. And this is a pad that's meant to go with you everywhere. You would take this to your camps. You would take this to band camp, to school, to rehearse. Now, before we get on to the last section of pads, I do want to talk about some specialties that I do have. I do have the limited edition Evans RealFeel, the Barney Beats practice pad. This one apparently is also still very sought after amongst pad collectors. It's just the generic RealFeel. Ooh, there we go. Another sought after collector is one of the original versions of the Vic Firth Slim Pad. This is the one with the full surface and that old school gum rubber sound and feel. And I know this one isn't like a specialty, but I found this one on Facebook Marketplace for like $20. This is the Off-World Outlander. This was supposed to be the small travel version of their Invader. You know this company if you've watched my channel. This is Beetle Percussion. And my first Beetle Percussion pad that I ever got was this one. This was their old OG 13.5-inch concert series pad. Just a typical rubber surface. Okay, it was geared towards the concert percussionist. I still often use this one for concert orchestral practicing. The next Beetle pad I owned, again, I do not have mine in possession currently. It's at the high school I teach with. It was their original marching practice pad. Shortly after I got that one, I did get what I consider my favorite pad from Beetle, which was their ash pad. Same concept. You've got two surfaces, one thinner, one thicker, made out of beetle kill ash. And I actually, right before 2020, put this 10-inch Mylar disc that they sell to get that really nice high-pitched and tight feel. So then they kind of combined the two. They took the marching pad and the ash pad, and they came up with their maple marching pads. Now, they don't make this one anymore either. It did have two surfaces. This backside was a little bit thicker material. And then a man named Carlos Boteo, who I actually got the idea of putting the laminate on my ash pad from, he put the laminate on his marching pad that he had gotten, and him and Beetle came up with a signature pad, this green one, which if you know who Carlos is, you've seen this pad. And also two specialty items I do have from Beetle. I did actually find this one third party. This was their first generation bus pad. Actually, I do believe this is the second gen, because the first gen was like more square or rectangle-ish with the corners, and it didn't have the feet on the bottom. This is the Tony Telecki signature pad. Tony was a drummer for the Cadets and Broken City. They came out with the newest generation, which is this blue pad. So same concept, you got the top side, but this is the articulate side now, and it's got that laminate that Beetle has. So, the purpose of practice pads, all right? So there are three main practice pads, and two of them can be combined together, but I'm going to give you my opinion on three that you've got, all right? The first one would be your orchestral pad. If you're an orchestral drummer, okay, and again, these are just my opinions, but you need a good practice pad for your orchestral drumming, all right? Something that you can dedicate all of your time for that. It's got a surface that not necessarily can mimic the feel of your concert snare. I know Remo has those pads that's got the actual head on it. So I recommend the Beetle Percussion Concert Series pad. For marching, I got two recommendations. The Carlos Boteo pad, because this pad is a little bit quieter than most. I know it's got the laminate on it, but it can be a pretty good quiet pad. It's also got the rubber rim. This is true stick saving. You're not going to leave any dents or marks with this one. And I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't recommend the Invader. Okay, if you've got the money for both of these, again, a little bit quieter. It's a nice portable pad too. This one is heavier than this one, so but I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't recommend the Invader. And lastly would be a drum set pad. I truly just recommend going out and getting a RealFeel pad. These are really good for drum set players. Just set it on top of your snare and keep warm with it. This is what a good warm-up pad. If you want the backside of the double-sided Evans RealFeel, just for those chop buildings and or hearing your individual like rudiments, strokes, make sure you got your buzzes down, whatever. But if you want my opinion, a basic RealFeel will do you good for your drum set playing. So what's the purpose of practice pads? To practice. Duh! I am an artist through Beetle Percussion, but that does not mean that I go out and tell everyone you should only use Beetle Percussion. I promote Beetle Percussion, all right? But at the same time, I promote whatever is good for you, especially in your budget as well. Practice pads aren't cheap. So go out and get you a practice pad. Obviously, steer clear of some people, but get you a practice pad that could be your overall pad that you use for everything. Get you a couple practice pads that help you with multiple different things. Find something that's within your budget that at the same time will help you grow as a musician so that you can hone your skill and your craft just a little bit better. Hope this helps. Chime in the comments your opinions on some pads. No, I'm not selling or trading any of these, so hopefully you watched all the way to me saying that. so I don't have to see it in the comments. Take care, guys.